Hey guys. So, earlier today I released a video talking about how the Supreme Court had basically told a church in Nevada, go fuck yourselves, in terms of them desiring to uh, not be limited in their right to peaceably assemble under the First Amendment. And in response to this, I actually wanted to go over with all of you about something which I had made a while back about a new constitution, a better way to govern the nation. And this is just a general outline that I've put together about what my ideal constitution would look like. Pretty much in after watching in retrospect all of the things that we have gotten wrong in the past, all of the rampant legislation from the Supreme Court, the not the gerrymandering, although that could be a problem, but the ability for the Senate to introduce non-germane amendments, which also pork barrels and uh, promotes corruption, and just an outline of things that I think, looking back, would better serve the nation and better serve what should be a republic government. So we're gonna switch off to that in just a second. So here we are. It's called the New Constitution of America, and I was actually asked to do this for a student who um, had no time to do their damn homework. So they asked me to their professor had given them this scenario, which essentially described the racial makeup of America and all this other jazz. And it said to write a constitution that would best serve this nation. So I, knowing that they were describing the demographics and area and landmass of the United States, understood the trap that this was, because it included a bunch of like racial demographics. It included a bunch of like other other factors that essentially said you can choose to focus on one of these things and try to make racial or economic policies based on these attributes, or you can ignore all the bullshit and just go with what works. So this is what I sent to him, and it reads: the model of the government for the nation of America shall be a direct inspiration of the Constitution of the United States, with its enumerated powers divided as the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. This Constitution will contain directly all amendments from 1 to 19 as stated rights before enumerating any powers to the government whatsoever. The legislature shall also have two houses, one house which grants each province representation by population, and another of equal representation for each province. How will America's legislative branch be different from that of the United States? All elected representatives shall have a term limit of 2 terms. Neither body will possess the right to pass non-germane amendments to any bill or act. Any law passed that shall affect the common man shall likewise affect all members of government without exception. This rule takes precedence over any other law. The legislature shall be disbanded, and no action shall be taken by the legislature or regarding the legislature, including the pay of the legislature, during times in which the nation is in debt by any amount greater than $100,000. At this point, the executive shall remain in command of the nation and will be confined to the duty of reducing the debt to below $50,000. How will America's executive branch be different from that of the United States? The president shall also be confined to 2 terms. The election of the president shall remain as the electoral college, sans electors, meaning there won't be electors to vote whether or not they actually want to follow the will of the people. Provinces, or states in this case, will instead be granted an electoral value equal to the sum of their representatives in the legislature and the majority vote of the people of each province, will determine which candidate wins that value. How will America's judicial branch be different from that of the United States? The judicial branch shall not have the power of judicial review against the legislature or the executive branches. The judicial branch shall act only upon the people, that the people are judged according to the acts and laws of the legislature. The judicial branch shall be headed by a council comprised of a single executor, elected every year by their respective province, or in this case, group of provinces like the circuits that we have here in the United States. They will preside only over their respective province. Any executor who levies a judgment against the legislative or executive branch, or any judgment contrary to the law of the land, shall be put to death. The executor shall be responsible for appointing clerks who hear day-to-day local cases, to have the laws of the land enacted, or to have questions answered by those they serve. Clerks will have the same burdens, responsibilities, and risks in their districts as executors do over their province. An executor maintains the right to execute a judgment contrary to the laws of the land and to have that ruling honored by the land. Their life, however, remains forfeit. What other changes will be made to America's Constitution? There shall be one prescription to amend the Constitution, and one only, which shall never be removed or amended even by the process put forth. The only process to amend the Constitution is by sacrifice of blood by an executor. In the event an executor is compelled to issue a ruling contrary to the laws of the land, and their life therefore forfeit, they may choose before execution to prescribe an amendment to be voted upon by the whole people of America by majority vote. The new amendment cannot be abridged in any manner by the legislature or executive branches, and it may not be used to amend any portion of the sacrifice of blood clause, nor add any alternative to it. The vote for the prescribed amendment will be held 1 year from the death of the executor. And for me, this is a very basic idea for how we need to reinforce liberalism once again. Because this idea that we have a representative government, we have it for a reason. We pass laws through our representatives who ideally, allegedly, represent us. And the idea that they can be sidestepped by some high and mighty judicial review panel is destructive. And it's not conducive to what a republic or democracy should look like or function as. And there have been many times in which the laws we want put in place and the liberties we want protected are subverted by the very court who's supposed to be our protector from unconstitutional actions. And I've hit a point where I've realized that there is no such thing, and I have yet to see an instance of this. If you can find an instance of this, I'd be very surprised. There's no such thing as tyranny of the majority. It doesn't happen, because it's the majority that wants the society and the culture that they want. The most often tyranny that we have is the tyranny of the minority. And when you have a panel of lawyers protecting the tyranny of the minority at the complete subjugation of the majority, what you come up with is an undemocratic result. And that is what this new Constitution overall is meant to protect from. It also throws in protections for corruption and money laundering and bribes and pork barreling and all that other stuff. That's why we have the non-germane amendment put in there. And this, in my view, is something basic. It's never going to happen. Let's be real. This is never going to happen. But it's an idea that I think should be, at the very least, entertained. That's all.